We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live.
Drop the mic with Jason Hunt.
All right, here we go.
Hello.
Francois, what is going on, Francois? How you doing?
Well, I'm pretty good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I enjoy these podcast episodes because, I'd like to consider Francois not just a colleague, not just a partner that I work with, but a friend. And we got along well when we met originally it was in Bucharest, Romania at the AW Summit. You're a fellow speaker. And then again in Prague, where you're also a speaker at that event at the European Summit.
I was under the impression I saw you in Budapest as well.
Budapest? Was it Budapest? Not Budapest, Bucharest.
I was in Bucharest, Budapest, and Prague last September.
I was not in Budapest.
That's your fault. There you go.
It was my fault. Yeah, but why I'm excited for this conversation today is Francois is the owner of an agency in Quebec called Via Communications.
That's right.
And Via, I think your story is quite inspirational for me as an agency owner as well, because that's one of the great things you get from when you talk to other agency owners is we kind of work and live in our bubble, and sometimes we don't really get a chance to get out of that bubble to understand what others are doing. And I think you've done some pretty cool things at Via Communication to kind of expand from just being that run-of-the-mill digital marketing agency. Maybe tell us a bit how you started Via in the first place and what got you into digital marketing.
It's funny, actually, how it started is a huge coincidence. No digital marketing background at all. I was actually a electronic warfare analyst, so I was still in the Army. And I had a friend who was the owner of a huge software company based in Montreal. I did a course with the Army, and we were touching on how to use social media, which was kind of new back then, to find the bad guys. So I thought it was interesting. I offered my friend and say, hey, how about I give you a hand with your social media? Just, no intention, nothing. He accepted, and we did pretty good. So a couple months later, the guy invited me. He said, hey, we have the annual seminar in Montreal and Toronto. You want to come and, speak to my own clients on how they could benefit from social media? I'm like, okay, cool. And I came home from the seminars with a pile of business cards, people asking me how much I charge for consultation and stuff like that. So my wife looked at me and she's like, well, you have a business in your hand. I'm like, yeah, that's right. So I called back one of the guy. His name was Mike. I said, hey, Mike, we had a discussion a few days ago, social media stuff. I said, yeah, how much you charge? No freaking idea. $250 a month? So hell yeah. Fuck, that wasn't enough. So that's pretty much how it started. And, day one, just offering community management, social media posts and stuff like that. And now at Via, we're 17, 18. And we do everything in-house from web development, SEO, paid ads, SEM, SMM. We pretty much do everything.
It's interesting, especially for, in your infancy stage of owning your agency, because it must have been, I would think it'd be a big leap to go from doing a union job in the military to going and being like, you know what, screw it, let's do it. Let's start my own business. Like, what was that learning curve like?
Pretty harsh. I would say harsh both on me and my family. Because, I knew I was getting out of the Army. I probably had 2 years left because my back was pretty bad. So I was on my way out, and I decided, to start building the business. So the learning curve, funny enough, it started with tons of course on Udemy and stuff like that. So I educated myself on all the different platforms, and I was kind of forced to do it because you offer Facebook to a client, and then the first thing you know, well, they need Google ads. Oh, they need a website. So I developed partnership because I was not offering any website in the beginning. So I pretty much had to learn everything myself. I think the best investment, the best thing I did was early in that career, I hired a mentor. Her name was Brandy Lawson. She's from Phoenix. So I went to a conference called YouGuru, and the best thing I did was to work with a mentor from the very beginning. She helped me a lot to better organize the business, to grow it. But yeah, a lot of time, I was probably working 80, 90 hours a week, not sleeping much. And then even when I was going on base back to work, I had my computer having my lunch in the car, returning calls, telling, oh yeah, I'm pretty busy in the morning, so I return my calls during lunchtime. Actually, no, I'm actually working. I'm military. I just didn't tell the client back then.
And what year? What year was this?
I was in 2016,
Yeah,
15. Yeah, 15.
At the height of hustle culture and Gary V and all that stuff, right? So
Pretty much, yeah.
if you're not working 16 hours a day, you're doing it wrong. That kind of culture was happening at the time. Especially
and it's funny because I think it's a good fit for guys like him and Elon Musk. And, there's some guys out there that are just workaholic and they enjoy it and it goes well with their lifestyle. But it can also be misleading for some people, I think. And what I mean by that is it gives the impression to new entrepreneurs starting their agencies in our industry that if they work all the time, then their business is doing well. It might only mean that they're not efficient in what they're doing. They're not properly organized. They don't have good systems. In my case, that's what it was. I was on the impression the business was healthy and doing well because I was always on this, cell phone ringing all the time. And then I realized a few years down the road, no, I'm just poorly managing my time. I don't have good processes. And I'm burning myself, which is really bad in the end because, yes, you respond to your clients all the time. They like it for a moment. Then they take advantage of this. And you don't do any good to them because you can't serve them in the long run, if you're burning yourself at the same time. You can't deliver the same results in the long run.
So what helped you in terms of flipping the script on that? Because, in terms of having the systems, being disorganized, focus so heavily on the sales aspect, being on your phone, what helped you get in line and sharpen up your productivity, efficiencies, and systems?
Two things. Definitely, I'm going to start with the positive one, which was mentorship, right? But quite often before we make that decision to go with the mentorship that we need, I did hit the wall pretty bad. So, both at the same time, I had good people around me, but I had to put a knee down at some point. I literally hit the wall. I thought I was doing great until I freaking snapped. It was bad. Without going into all the details, it was me. Hey, I'm gone. Where? Mexico. What are you doing in Mexico? I'm like, couch surfing for 3 weeks, drinking beer, not responding to any clients, emails, nothing. Fuck it. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit the wall pretty bad at some point. And then, I think unfortunately, I needed that to realize that, what I was doing was wrong, or there were better ways to do it. So now it's funny because I own VIA. I also own 3 other companies. And I'm also the director of marketing of a multinational who's based in Newcastle, right next to Toronto. And people ask me, geez, you're back at working 2 hours every week? I'm like, no, via communication, probably 15 hours a week. The rest is between Sunspace and the other stuff. But I have really good systems in place now. I have good support from the employees. We're efficient. But I had to hit the wall. It was as simple as that.
That's where I think that's a good segue. So what I think is very interesting, what you did with VIA is you had your eyes open to an opportunity that was presented to you by one of your clients. Yeah. And tell us about the opportunity you had and how that really transformed a lot of what you're doing today and where you're spending your time.
Yeah, actually, that's also a good story. So we had multiple dealers, Sunspace, Sunrooms dealers that were already working with my agency.
For those that are not clear, Sunspace Sunrooms, it's a dealer of.
So Sunspace Sunrooms manufactures sunrooms. We have about 200 and something dealers across Canada and the US. But the way it started for me was one of my very first clients. He would recognize himself, Nick. So we started working with him. It worked really well. To the point where his regional manager was asking, what's going on? Why are your sales so high? What happened? So he introduced me to that guy who introduced me to more Sunspace dealers in the province of Quebec. And it was working fine. So a couple of years down the road, I was invited to the annual seminar, met with the CEO, Stephen Hunt, and his, at the time, director of marketing. And they wanted to see if we could work together at higher scale, and it didn't work, unfortunately, for some reasons. And it's only a few years later, on a Friday night, I hear that director of marketing is gone. The position is open. They're looking for someone. So I'm drinking a whole bottle of wine on my own, watching YouTube on a Friday night, Thursday night, I think it was, yeah. And I decide to write an email to the CEO, say, hey, I think that's a good idea. How about you, drunk idiot, write an email to the CEO of that company to see if you can have that position, So that's what I did. Thanks to the autocorrect from Gmail, it was not a disaster. So anyway, send the email out, got a response like 2 minutes later. So yeah, sure, I'd like to talk with you about the lead gen stuff, blah, blah, blah. So, fuck it, I want to have the job. So, okay, when could you be in Toronto? In 5 hours, there's a flight. Okay, cool, see you tomorrow. And then I go upstairs, hey, honey, I'm going to Toronto. What are you talking about? Okay, have a good night. And then the next morning she calls me, where the hell are you? Well, I told you last night, I'm in Toronto. I'm meeting with Steven. What the hell are you talking about?
Are you getting traffic to your business's website, but it's not converting into sales the way you would like? You need to turn those conversations into customers. Introducing Chatello.ai. Chatello isn't just another AI agent. It's a custom-built AI that understands your business inside and out, delivering 24/7 support to your customers and your clients. Go over to Chatello.ai and request a demo today. Chatello.ai provides instant, human-like live support, instant answers 24/7, customizable support, insights and analytics, accurate responses. Go on over to Chatello.ai and book your demo today.
So that's pretty much like how that opportunity from one dealer to there's 3 dealers to years later meeting with the executives to be part of that executives now 10 years down the road. I've been with them for 2 years now. It's pretty funny, but yeah, I just felt gut feeling a lot. Yeah.
And so you had the opportunity where somebody saw the potential in VIA and invested into it.
Yeah.
And now is a partner, but not only a partner. I mean, the incentive for Sunspace to do something like that is they get your undivided attention as not fractional, but full-time CMO, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. There's that, but also think about it. If you're a major company, right, you're big. We're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars, we're not talking about mom and pop shop, right? And you want to put in place a marketing department in-house to serve your dealers network. It's kind of risky when you think about it, right? It's risky for the business because, from day one, if you say, hey, we're going to put marketing resources available for our dealers network, but nobody in that marketing department is going to be experienced. They don't know anything about, at a high scale, how to do lead gen for Canada and US and stuff. And so what if you spend the next 2 years trying stuff, figuring out concepts, and so on one page you want to offer your dealer, say, hey, we'll have dedicated marketing services. Oh yeah, are they going to work? We don't know. We're trying stuff. It doesn't look really good on anybody. So there was a huge benefit for Sunspace and it made a lot of sense. Say, hey, how about we work together? Right? Because you already have experience. You work with 20, 30 of our dealers. You're already familiar with all the product line, with everything that we do pretty much. You understand our markets, our reality. And I don't think it was only this, but I mean, I really get along very well with Steven and the rest of the team at Sunspace. So we had a really good relationship already. It was just... it made a lot of sense to go down that path and, join Sunspace as a CMO and, develop that relationship with them.
For Sunspace, it seems like a no-brainer. You can go out there and, I mean, the going rate for a CMO is above and beyond $100K a year, on average. So why not just, get your feet implanted with an actual agency and call it your own, that basically, rather than hire an entire marketing team, which would cost Sunspace hundreds of thousands of dollars to do.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now, overnight, Sunspace has full stack web developer, WordPress developers, Next.js expert, SEO expert. So now overnight, Sunspace can dig into all of those resources without spending, if you put all the resources, do the math, how much it would cost for a CMO, SEO expert, full stack web developer, junior web developers, et cetera, you'll be close to $1 million a year.
Mhm.
So yeah, it made a lot of sense to develop that, build that relationship in that way.
So with Sunspace, it's a massive dealer, over 200 dealers for the franchise, right? And I've seen them at Cottage Life Show. I've seen them around. They're doing a lot of events, have a massive marketing budget. How do you go about delegating a marketing budget for a company such as Sunspace Sunrooms?
That's a good question. We improvise a lot.
Mhm.
No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. No, it's funny because it was kind of easy to put together. Actually, the biggest challenge was on year one, trying to figure out where all the money was spent already and what was the return on investment that the previous CMO was getting from all of his different stuff. Because not everything is always documented the way we want it documented, or it's not traceable as much as we would like to. But we pretty much, I think there was a little bit of luck as well. We took what was working at a smaller level and we just applied it at the corporate level. So there's differences because corporate, we have a lot more spend in magazines. There's more brand awareness money than, smaller shops, where smaller shops are going to be focused on lead gen. They want to have that many leads. They cost that much. They bring back that much. Cool. For us, there's brand awareness, other component. We rebranded the whole company on year one. So, but for the rest, I think the timing was amazing because the biggest challenge for any strategy, I think, is scaling. So just going from your regular Facebook ads, say, oh, I used to spend $3,000 a month and I'm going to spend $25,000 a month. Just change the numbers. As much as I do, it doesn't work. Anybody in digital marketing, they know. Most of our clients, they have tried it themselves. They don't know how to go like, oh, I used to spend $20 a day and it was profitable. And now I'm trying to spend $2,000 a day on Facebook and I'm losing money. It's crazy, right? So not everybody knows how to scale. And the timing was amazing because we were in a really good spot where we started for a few years already being extremely successful at scaling smaller campaign and having a good procedure on how to scale them for major accounts. So part of the budget, that's how it went. We took what we already knew was working at a lower level and we scaled it, and we were very successful at scaling our ads and campaigns on all the different platforms that we were using, whether it was Google ads or Facebook ads. Worked well.
It's interesting because Sunspace Sunrooms is very high ticket, right? Like obviously, how much are people spending on average for a sunroom?
Depends, but you have to keep in mind we're a manufacturer, so we don't have the retail dollars at the other end. It's also different on how you manage your budget. But a sunroom, depending on the markets, will go from anywhere to $30,000 to sky's the limit, 100, 150. So the retail value is very interesting. And at the same time, that's one of the reasons why we were not as affected by all the Google update and, the increase. The cost per 1,000 impression on Facebook is going up like 30% every year. So when you're trying to sell something with a $2, $3, $5, $10 profit margin for each item, it's a headache. When you're selling stuff at $50,000, $60,000, whether your cost per acquisition goes from $300 to $320, it's not the end of the world, right?
So out of all the marketing endeavors that you have set forth or set up, which one do you think provides you with the best ROI? I strongly believe, the Pareto principle, where 20% of your efforts garners 80% of the result, applies to a lot of marketing efforts. So for Sunspace Sunrooms, what is that 20% effort that's giving you 80% result? Is it the SEO? Is it the Google ads, Facebook? Is it events? What is it?
That's a really good question. It's kind of weird because lately it doesn't apply. That 20% rule doesn't apply too much to Sunspace. To be fair, SEO has been huge for us for the last 2 years. SEO has been huge. And while everybody was complaining about SEO and losing traffic and performance, for some reason, we kind of capitalized on that. We kept pushing really, really hard. We changed how we do SEO significantly for Sunspace, but for all of our clients. But the thing is, the request for quotation we get from our SEO effort, the quality is huge. Like closing rate for any leads that come from SEO, and I'm talking not about Sunspace, I'm talking about any clients we deal with, is closer like 25 to 30%. Right? When we work only with Facebook ads globally, marketing, remarketing, doesn't matter how we do it, the closing rate is going to be around 8 to 10%. Kind of hard to go above 10 when it's only Facebook.
So, and that's obvious because of lack of intent. You need to educate on the platform.
Exactly.
Correctly sell, right? So, but I'm assuming you have a lot of retargeting those SEO, that SEO traffic hitting your website with very specific ads, right? Things
well,
like
that's the thing we don't use. It's multi-channel all the time. Anybody who goes to our website is retargeted with multiple Facebook ads. So, and again, the quality, like the closing rate on the leads we generate through remarketing on Facebook is like 3 times higher than just like first approach. People go to our website, submit a request for quotation. So yeah, it's hard to tell because all of those things work so much together. But the mix of SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads with remarketing, and it may sound easy, and people would say, "Oh, you're giving away your recipe." Believe me, we're light years away from giving the recipe. How to scale it with hundreds of thousands of dollars for each channel, and if not millions of dollars in each channel, that's where the challenge is. That's where people fail, and we've been really successful at scaling our campaign. So
running an agency, and running SEO campaigns or Facebook ad campaigns, you have to be nimble. Things change all the time, and you mentioned it a second ago there, Francois, about change with your SEO programs. What significant changes did you make in your SEO programs for Sunspace?
Everything 25 times in the last year. From the way we publish content and we do the copywriting, from the type of backlink that we purchase, from the amount that we publish, how we publish it, how we use Reddit versus how we never used Reddit before, because now it's being glorified so much by Google. The impact of Google reviews, like your online reputation is much greater than it used to be. I find that everything moves a lot slower than it used to, right? Sometimes we would purchase backlink and within 3 weeks, big bump. Now everything we do, it really feels like we're moving the Titanic and we're just trying not to hit any iceberg. I think SEO, it's usually underestimated by a lot of people because everybody got scared. Oh, everybody's losing traffic. So now we see clients are reading on Google, SEO is dead, SEO this, SEO that. It also means that a lot of your competitors are running away from it. And we decided to keep pushing, to change our strategy, change how we do things. You need to bet a lot more on quality for everything you do. Reviews, try to get reviews with pictures of your product, with a long description. It's not just asking a client to publish a review with 5 stars. Again, quality of backlink, the quality of the content that's published on your website. Are you answering any questions? Are you answering a question that's been answered 100,000 times already, which is totally useless? So while people started running away from SEO, we stayed there. Mm-hmm. So it turned into a huge opportunity for us because, there's less competition in some verticals.
I think that is a huge opportunity that's happening right now is the people, and we see that as well. We see some publishers that are jumping ship and putting budget in other places aside from SEO. And we know, you and I both know how often Google updates their algorithm. And all it takes is one update before we're back in track and look who's in the pole position. Right?
It's one after another one. It's crazy. And years ago, if you had 2 core updates in a year, that was pretty much it. I think we had 6 or 7 this year. Yeah. Something like that. So no, they're pretty aggressive about it. And even Facebook and Google ads, we used to spend so much time on targeting and optimizing the audiences. And then iOS 14 was released a few years ago. You can't target the same way you could in the past and whatnot. And the way I do it personally, for any accounts I manage, I don't spend so much time on targeting anymore. They use machine learning. They know who's going to buy your product, who's interested or not in your product. You don't need to overly target as much as you used to. you benefit a lot more, in my opinion, from working with huge audiences. You let the algorithm do its own work, but the web, everything in SEM, SMM, it loves recency. Recency is a huge thing. So we try to get out of the learning phase as much as we can, as fast as we can. But we also try to generate a lot of different creatives and A/B tests. At the same time, A/B testing has never been as easy as it is right now. We have ChatGPT. Take that successful ad, create me 10 variation, one variation that will talk a little bit more to analytics people, to this and that. And then we have 10, out of 10, you may have 6 successful ads. So we put a lot more effort and time into coming up with better creatives, more A/B testing, and a lot less time on targeting itself.
I 100%. I will caveat with what I agree with everything that you say. I'll caveat it by saying when you choose your objective, because if you're having an open audience, a massive audience, not targeting just a specific type of person that has an interest on something or a behavior, and you're targeting an open audience, you need to be careful with objective, because that is where you could find yourself losing a lot of money. So if you opt, for example, you optimize for awareness or engagement, well, you're going to get people engaging on your shit. You're not going to get people buying your shit, because the algorithm will say, hey, you want people that like stuff? Perfect. We'll put your ad in front of people that like stuff.
Right? Well, no, exactly. It's funny. I think on Facebook, there's 12 or 13 different objectives for the campaigns and stuff. So by going broad, I mean, where I would target people that are 40 years old and above, in a relationship, married, blah, 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 because I know people that are married or together in a relationship are more likely to buy this type of product. Okay, so if I have 2-3 million people to up to 10 million people in my audience, that's good. The objective is huge. And that's where people have a hard time to scale. They don't understand the relationship between, I'll try to explain one concept very briefly. And I know you're familiar with it, but for people watching, if you have an audience, let's take just round numbers, okay? And you have 100,000 people in your audience. It doesn't matter if you put $1 or $1 billion in a month, you will never reach 100,000 out of 100,000. And it doesn't have anything to do with your budget. It has to do with the fact that the first dollar you spend on any platform is the best spent dollar ever. The second dollar and the third one and the 100th one will never be as well spent. Why? Caveat, once you're outside of the learning phase and the platform has enough data and understand what you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to target, that next dollar, automatically Facebook, Google, name it, they're trying to show your ad to the person who will be the most likely to achieve your goal. So if you choose, for example, what you said, awareness, so brand awareness, okay, well, you'll get a lot of repetition. Or if you have an ad that the goal is engagement, well, Facebook knows who click like all the time, leave comments, share. So there's a certain type of people that are actively doing that all day long. You're a lot more likely to reach them. If you're trying to generate leads, well, if you choose leads, maybe Francois is the best person on this planet. Like, he's 45, I'm not, but I was 45 years old. I meet all the criterias. But in the last 10 years, not a single time I clicked on a lead ad on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you put $100 billion of budget. Mm-hmm. If you have 100,000 people, you will not reach 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. Because Google and Facebook, they all know who submit leads, who goes to your website for this specific purpose. Mm-hmm. So the size of the audience, the recency of the creatives, and the objective, I think those are the 3 main components. Like, they will have a huge impact on how people can scale their campaign. Right.
100%. 100%. That's it's interesting. I think something people overlook, especially small business owners that think they're running Facebook ads when they hit a boost button. Right. Yeah. And then it doesn't work. It's like, oh, it didn't work. Well, obviously
it works with $5 a day. It works with $15 a day. It doesn't work with $20,000 a day. It doesn't work with $5, let alone $200 a day. It's unlikely to be profitable.
Well, let's transition and talk a bit about the elephant in the room, which we haven't touched on yet, which is, in 2025, AI, artificial intelligence. How right now is Via using AI in their processes for their suite of services, and Sunspace Sunrooms? How are they using AI?
Yeah, a lot. a lot for tons of things. One of the things, like, I don't even know where to start. Like, even for my own personal life, and as the president of VIA, how much time I spend answering emails, right, or writing emails. Like, all my communications are pretty much supervised by AI. The good thing, and you know as much as I do, for example, you can train ChatGPT not only to generate responses, but to generate responses in your own style. So, I can upload documents that I have written myself, so ChatGPT learns how I write, how I talk. Right? So, I don't know, if I could spend 30, 40 minutes a day responding to email, I'd probably spend 2 to 3 minutes a day, especially when it's hard, right? When you don't know, how am I going to say that? I'm like, I still want to look human, and don't be overly aggressive, but he needs to pay his bill. Okay, I write something, it's freaking terrible, and then, hey, ChatGPT, could you make it sound like, more human, but insist on the fact that they still have
Don't make me sound like a dick.
Don't make me sound like a dick, but, they still have to pay their bill. So, yeah, responding to email, that's definitely for one. On the business side, whenever we're struggling with something and we want to establish new process to improve our processes, I use AI to say, hey, here's my process. How could it be better? So AI will recommend better process on how to do things on the day-to-day kind of thing. For marketing in itself, A/B testing, where we would spend hours of, developing different ad copy and stuff like that. It takes minutes. So we can test a lot more, be a lot more efficient, better performance. And we use the AI from whether ChatGPT, Facebook AI, like they all have their own platform, Gemini, name it. That's only some of them. Personal life, even like, I don't know, I snap a picture from my fridge. I don't know what to cook with the ingredients I have. I'm going to ask ChatGPT to prepare me some recipe.
You know what you can do? You can actually, I don't know if you've done this. You can take a photo of your fridge, open up your fridge, and ChatGPT is going to decipher what each and every one of those items are, and then go ahead and give you a dish that you can make with the ingredients in your fridge. That's pretty insane. There's another one, actually. Here's a good one. My brother-in-law, he had a pipe burst on his sink at Christmas time, and he had to spent Christmas night underneath his sink trying to fix this blockage. Couldn't figure it out. So he grabbed his phone, ChatGPT, opened it up, took a picture of the pipe, told him, here's the dimension. It didn't even have to tell him the dimensions. It knew the dimensions based on the photos.
And it recommended all the parts and how to fix it.
It just did that. It said how far up, based on the length of the pipe to the septic tank, where the blockage was happening, based on the water intake, the water flow, the backup of the water, all this stuff. It was able to decipher all these calculations to say that the blockage was 22 feet up the pipe towards the septic tank.
But
which
even like any problems you may have in your business. Last year, we went from that many employees to that many employees. We went from that many clients. So we scaled the business significantly. Here's a problem we're facing now. We have a hard time to meet deadlines, for example, when we're for a web project and this and that, and propose me solutions to my problems on how to keep, what is the next step to keep scaling. Give me 2 or 3 different options on, what's the next step for VIA Communication to scale past X amount of money in revenue. And it will give you strategy, or at least something to think about, most definitely. On the day-to-day, one way I use AI, and I think it's genius, we have access to the knowledge of humanity in this little box here. I love to spend about 30 to 40 minutes, check your facts, but I think ChatGPT is getting a lot better than it used to have conversation with the vocal little, I don't know how they call it, but when you have the paid version, the advanced version, which is it's $20 a month. I had a 2 hours conversation about the political system in the US because I had a lot of questions and I couldn't remember. So I'm educating myself on different topics, how the Senate works and the represented chamber, and what are all the powers that the president has, and versus the prime minister here, the Senate in Canada, what power they have or whatever, and example of how they took advantage of it in the last few years and how it applies specifically to real life cases. So I love politics, so I talk about politics a lot with ChatGPT, but I educate myself about a whole bunch of different topics all the time. I tend to confirm the facts that it's bringing up, but I think it could be interesting just outside of business stuff, or it could be related to business as well. Yeah.
That's interesting. And I love it's ChatGPT 4.0, the one where, essentially you're able to chat with it via your phone. I've had calls coming home from work, and it's full out, therapeutic sessions with my custom GPT, and it's fantastic. And I think it could potentially replace coaches at some point, because I'm essentially using mine as
Down
a
the
coach.
road, I think there's something that comes with coaching, and it's the human touch, and
Yes.
the robot can't replace that. Knowing that somebody else, they share your pain, they've been through the same stuff, they found solution. Something that ChatGPT may not tell me is, in my opinion, at some point we were stuck with VIA, and I needed a solution, because I was, there's a threshold where, if I hire the people I need to make it to the next step, for the next 2 years, I'm not making money anymore. I'm paying myself, but it's not as much money as it used to. So I felt in that comfort zone where I'm like, okay, well, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and it's a lot of risk. It's going to take too much time to scale past X level. And my mentor told me, what you should do, find a good opportunity, buy another company. So instead of time, there's more risk, right? Because now you have to invest a lot of your money. But buy another company that will fill all the gap, that already has a strong client base. So instead of, taking a step back with your revenues or profit, you can fix all the issues you have, work less within a few months, and just, buy somebody else, merge them. So that's what I did. I found a company in Montreal. They had a strong support department, all this software set up already. They had infrastructure that I needed. So overnight, no more phone call for support on this phone. Took about 3 months for the whole merger, and I freed so much of my time. So now I could be back at working on the business, not in the business anymore.
What company is that? What's the name of that company?
BL Solution.
BL Solutions.
Based in Montreal. They were based in Montreal. So we bought them, we merged them with us. And instead of trying to find the right support agent, another project manager, and this and that, well, I bought them, I merged them. The guy wanted to sell. It was a good opportunity, good deal both for him and for me. So I was not stuck there anymore, and I just go boom.
Did they offer the exact same services as VIA, this other company?
Not exactly. Less. I think we're pretty unique in a sense where we really offer the client, from web development, SEO, SMM, SCM, web hosting, web maintenance. We pretty much offer all the services. They offered some of them. Mostly, they had a good support platform. They offered web hosting, web maintenance. It was more web focus, website development, and that kind of stuff.
And did they when you acquired this company or merged with this company, how many employees did they have?
I don't even remember. We didn't keep a lot of them. We kept three for support. Mm-hmm. And the support platform, and we pretty much bought the infrastructure that they had, plus the clientele base.
How long ago was that?
That was 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago. 3 years ago now.
Got it. Okay. So we did a similar type of merger with a company here in Ontario in St. Catharines. And I found the best thing about it was we took on their employees and their clients. Their agency was pretty much a break even. They weren't crushing it. They had a handful of accounts that were paying a lot. But the best part of it is we got to understand their processes. They were very good with creative. And that essentially gave our business a big boost in terms of creative. And through that, the employees, two of the employees, there's two of the four are still with us here today, and they are fantastic. And they're I would say our best employees. They're awesome. So and they came from a different system, but they brought in some of the things that were working really well with that in that system to our system. It's great to compare two companies and be like, well, this is working really well. Oh, well, this is not working really well. This is why they're at a break even. But we have this solution over here that's much better. It's good to have that sort of comparison to draw on when you merge.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people in our industry is, when you look at your own clients, it's funny. We all have that bias when we sell. You sell that much and like, oh, I can't squeeze any more money from my client. And it's not about like ripping them off or anything. There's services that can be offered. Oh, he already pays $600 a month, or $1,000 a month, or whatever the case is. I can't push it anymore. I'm like, well, wait a second. Like, you offer those services, you offer hosting, maintenance, he pays that much, and X, Y, Z. So, and I think it just with the years, and eventually, like, the guy was on his way out. He wanted to retire, so not putting as much effort. But the client we acquired, we hop on the phone, say, hey, welcome to VIA, by the way, and yeah, we can. Oh, your website looks old. Like, we can redo your website. What about Facebook? Yes, we also offer Facebook and this and that and lead gen. So just when we acquired them, believe me, whatever it cost us, it didn't take 3 years to pay it back. It took about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever cost we had, just because there was so many clients that needed other services that they were sick of working with 3 different agencies, one for Google Ads, one for the web maintenance they had with them, and one for Facebook. Like, well, we manage your emails, we manage your hosting, we can take care of your Google Ads and redo your website. So it made it was so easy. The transition was really smooth overall, and the benefit was huge. And employees' knowledge, there's so many ways to do what we do, and it changes all the time. So when you have employees from another business coming in, I think there's a huge benefit that you get from having other perspectives on everything. Yeah.
And I don't want to digress too far away from the AI chat for a second, because I think we're at a very interesting time. I mean, the most interesting time I can think of, especially in the digital space, where we are today with AI. I find that, and we talked a bit about this before going live, but AI is at a point now that I feel like social media was back in 2016. You know what I mean? It's like it's still cutting edge to do Facebook ads back in 2016 for a lot of small businesses. And right now we're at that point with AI and specifically speaking, AI agents living on websites, helping close deals, or not close deals, but get leads and educate prospects on their products and services. How important do you think that is today where we are in 2025?
Okay, there's 2 things. One, if we just go straight to AI agents, okay, and it's not, we have the AI chat, which has nothing to do with a scripted chatbot, which is kind of shitty. It was expensive because you needed so much script. And then there's a question it cannot respond to, so they're expensive, they're inefficient, and very quickly people don't want to talk with your bot anymore. AI is so trendy, right? And that's what we do on our chat. It's an AI agent, and it says, come to talk with our AI agent, built on the ChatGPT engine. I love it. And people interact with it a lot more, but the quality of the response, it really feels like you're talking with a human. So that's for one. I'm sold AI agents for chat, but there's AI call center. I was tricked by one of my employees. He actually set up an AI call center. The guy called me. For French, you can tell the difference. For English, I had no idea I was not talking with a human.
Wow.
It's scary. Say, hey, sir, yeah, you submitted a lead for this product. I'm like, yeah, who am I talking to? Oh, it's Steven from Sunspace Sunrooms, or whatever the name of the company was in the trial. It's okay. Like, who the hell are you? I know you might be a little bit confused. I'm just running a test for our new blah, blah, blah. I'm actually not a human. Because he told the thing to tell me it's not a human. I'm like, oh my God, I was so confused. So think about it. You probably have, I don't know, like 50 million, 100. How many people are working in call center around the world? From what I heard, like it's a matter of time. They will lose their job. They better find something else because they'll be useless. I was having a discussion with a human in my mind. Going back to what you were saying, when I started giving the first, when I started with public speaking, I would always start with who's on Facebook, who owns a business, and who's not on Facebook. So when I was asking who was advertising on Facebook, people were like, what is Facebook? And some people, like, you had 3-4 hands raised in the room. And then I told everybody else in the room, look at them. They'll be kicking your ass. If they're in your market selling the same product, they have a huge advantage. They're taking advantage of social media marketing. It was a new thing, and everybody was like, "Oh fuck, I got to start doing it." Convince me, and then it would get on with us. That's where we are with AI. When I ask businesses who's using AI for their daily operation, for their marketing, for their process, for whatever, and you see in that room 4 or 5 people raising their hands with 200 looking at each other, and they're all asking, how can I do better? Here's the thing. When I started, people were, instead of just going on radio and paper ads, they had like their secretary or their wife, running the ads, that kind of stuff. And then, we got to hire a digital marketing agency. It was something new. I think we're there where whether digital marketing agencies like us will start adding AI-specific services, or it's just going to be a new trade as a whole. People are going to have the digital marketing agency and the AI consultant or AI specialized agency. It's a matter of time, but most definitely it's hard to keep up with AI. There's so many benefits. It goes so fast. And the edge it gives to a business that utilize AI to their benefit, I mean, it's huge. It's huge. So it might just be a completely new type of agency that will be born from it, or it will be a mix between digital marketing and AI. But there's a lot more outside of marketing what AI can do for a business.
I think that we're just scratching the surface. We're just looking at what's above the surface on the iceberg right now. I think there's a lot below the surface that is yet to really be discovered and uncovered, and I'm excited to see that happen. But I think, you and me we're really getting ahead of the curve here with what we're doing, and I think it's really going to help out businesses as a whole over the course of the next year or two, for sure.
There's also mistakes that people can do, especially when it comes. What I know a lot about is marketing. And there's some traps that people falls in and they fail, and then they say, well, AI is bullshit. No, it's not because you failed at something. It's like when someone tell me Taboola ads are shit or Facebook ads are shit. It's not because you failed. There's a billion ways to do it wrong for 10 ways to do it right. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work because it didn't work for you. And the best example I can give you is, and everybody tried it with SEO, right? We all know AI is not penalized by Google. Boring, generic content is penalized by Google. ChatGPT and other AI, that's what they tend to generate. Content that's very generic. It's based on other content already existing. So it doesn't have the depth. Like, it's not going to write an article about the fact that, well, it could write an article about the fact that I was giving a speech in Dubai in 2024. But it's not going to have all the details and the depth of, what I was talking about, who was there, and the whole experience behind it. So AI is a tool, so for us to work faster and better, but it's not at this point in time. It's not replacing the human behind the keyboard. So if you just go there and, for example, try to generate tons of content with ChatGPT, publish it everywhere on the internet, and say that it has no impact on your SEO, yeah, you're right, but you also did it wrong. You put that on yourself. Right? Yeah. So you got to be cautious with what works, what doesn't work. It's a tool.
Yeah. Computers. And people need to educate themselves on it. Right? We need to educate.
And it's hard to keep up.
It is, but it's definitely more important. It's going to be more important to stay ahead of the curve. But I mean, we have the experience of having to be nimble in the digital marketing space over the course of the last decade to get you to never get too complacent, never get too comfortable, because there's some sort of a change to the algorithm on Facebook or Google all the time. So we're used to this position, and I'm excited for what's up around the bend.
It was easy 10 years ago. You wanted to rank your website in Montreal, you go in the footer and you had Montreal, Laval, all the name of the cities. It doesn't have any impact anymore. It's stupid. Like keyword spamming and all that stuff, it used to work. That's why people still do it, because they read stuff that's just outdated.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good point.
But what I find personally, I'm scared about AI, because I keep saying I like how fast everything in the digital marketing environment evolves. Why? Because it keeps us relevant for our client. There's no way. They have other things to do. They have to keep up with their own business. So it's hard for them to keep up with everything, how fast it changes and whatnot. So it keeps us relevant. When it comes to AI, geez, what was true 3 days ago is not the same 3 days later. so hard to keep up with everything's happening in the AI world. It's kind of scary.
Definitely. You know what, Francois, we got to have you back at some point on the Drop the Mic podcast. And but if our audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, on Facebook, I'm pretty easy to find, Francois Beaudry, or francoisbaudry.ca. We can drop the link to my website somewhere in your post.
Yeah, we'll put it in the comment section.
Beaudry.ca. And if you're in Quebec City, I'm back again. I have my radio gig at Boulevard 102.1. So with Denis Ravel, those from Quebec.
Nice.
I'm back for the whole year on radio.
Awesome. Cool. Francois, thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you, podcast listener, for checking out that episode of Drop the Mic. If you like that episode, I would love it if you went on over to your podcast platform and left us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to miss an upcoming episode of Drop the Mic, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.